I don't even want one customer to be unhappy, not even one. They say everything looks very good, we have the best net promoter score. So, yes, I think that was the gap. It focused more on emotions which can lead to numbers, approach which can last longer. We had to take certain surgical actions when people were not able to do the project in a certain way. People are not specifications. Machines have specifications, products have specifications. That's why they are resources. In such teams, even one person can be equal to 100.
We have Dinkar Rao, business coach, with us. Welcome, Dinkar. Today, I'd like to ask you about a company. Let's say they have everything going for them. Their business is running well, processes are in place, people are happy, and their numbers are looking good. And yet, would such a company invest on their own people and have a learning-driven transformation within?
Yes, that's a great question, and increasingly we see this trend not only in India but in other countries, that people are investing on such transformational projects not because they're not doing so great. In fact, the numbers are very good. Very intelligently they are able to figure out that something is missing. When we start looking at possibilities and where are we right now as compared to the possibilities we have, the whole way to look at numbers changes. And then people don't talk about what are we achieving. The question is, what are we capable of, what more we can achieve with certain tweaking in the way we work. And this was one of the projects in one of the Gulf countries. I can't name it because of the ND agreements. Everything looked perfect when you looked at the assessment of customer satisfaction scores, of course the sales numbers. But I think what we could figure out was that there was a very big ambition the brand had about how they want to come across over a few years. And the other story was that the retention levels were fairly good. I think also, since it was a project where people from different cultures were involved, quite a few people from the Gulf countries and Indians, and also a few expats from Europe. And this was an interesting project in totality, where ambitions drove the project rather than the as-is situation, which we call it. And I think the push came from the CEO, and who said that, and who defined what he wants his leaders to be, and came out with very simple pillars, higher levels of efficiency, higher levels of effectiveness, greater empathy within the organization, and also much higher customer focus. And I remember the CEO saying that I don't even want one customer to be unhappy, not even one.
Wow.
So classically, what happens when you take such projects, and if you ask teams which are involved in net promoter score, they say everything looks very good. We have the best net promoter score in this country. So why should we do that? And internationally, we have a good name for that. But then, what doesn't get revealed in the metrics is what people are learning. So what you're measuring is, of course, an indication that people are performing. But the question is, what are they learning to evolve further? Yes, I think that was the gap. And then we did a whole discovery of what are the people not learning. Possibly there was a list of things which came out from the leaders of cross-functionality. And this was a project which was for the people who were reporting to the CEO, veteran gentlemen with enormous experience, great academics. And of course he could have done it himself, whatever they were trying to do. But I think they wanted to build simplicity in thinking and an approach which can last longer. So this was one of the projects which I can definitely watch for. And then all the leaders took individual projects. Folks who were managing facilities, folks who were managing customer satisfaction, service teams, business,
So was
finance.
this a Kabir learning?
Yeah, it was definitely a Kabir learning project, and it focused more on the human emotions which can lead to numbers. So in some of our Kabir workshops, we've noticed that we try to bring the element of mystics and mysticism as something which is a fresh breeze of air for people who are always thinking about numbers. But then here, we had nothing of that sort because of the various aspects related to the way the project was designed. So there was little scope for that. People were extremely busy. So it was largely one-on-one conversations.
Oh, okay.
I would say maybe once a month, one-on-one, and one common session,
Okay.
and then one common session with the key stakeholders or the sponsors of the project. There was initially some level of skepticism that can a purely online project fly, and it was online because of the geographical complexity, and secondly the fact that it's difficult to get time of people who are extremely busy and at the top of the business. So what helped in this project and what it made it memorable is the alignment which people had in terms of the fact that they need to evolve, number one. Number two, the readiness of the people to take up projects for personal evolution and also evolution of the team. So we came out with various frameworks, but I think what I remember from this project is that a few people came out with extremely good measures for better levels of retention in some of the departments which they were facing challenges. And the other thing, the realization of the leaders that conversations are very important to build change, and conversations need not be only focused on business but also focused on the dreams of the people. So interesting thing is that while the leaders were constantly talking about the dreams of the organization, the leaders also talked about dreams of the people. And then when there was a good wedding between the dreams of the people and dreams of the organization, the buy-in was much higher. It was a competitive project where we were also evaluating folks on how they are progressing. We had to take certain surgical actions. When people were not able to do the project in a certain way, we had to excuse them from the engagement and give chance to others. But all in all, I think there was a great support from the top management and also people who were reporting to the top management. We could come out with certain measures which could improve customer delight and also internal customers for the employees of the organization, how we can have a plan for their growth. So if I can give you an example, everybody started owning the responsibility of building human possibility. So we redefined HR as human possibility, not as HR, human resource. That was an interesting terminology which we thought we should coin. And because people are not specifications. Machines have specifications, products have specifications. That's why they are resources. But the moment you talk to a human being, it's not a resource. Unfortunately, that's the language we have in the corporate world where we call human resources. But we said that we'll shift our mind and we'll shift our focus from this practice where we look at people as resources, we look at possibilities. And one interesting input which came from one gentleman, I remember, is that said, Dinkar, I have understood that mathematically in your team there are 6 people. In your team, it's our team. But that in such teams, even one person can be equal to 100. That's where the maths fails, and that's what it teaches, that we are talking not just about specifications like 6 people, we are talking about 6 possibilities, and one possibility can lead to hundreds of possibilities. That was a turning point.
That was a lovely insight. Thank you for that lovely insight, Dinkar. We'll continue with the next episode on another case study. Thank you so much.
Thank you.